Ya si quieres dinero, lo siento. Ya si quieres, ya.
Just kidding, I actually love this song a lot. So I've been listening to this song for quite a while now, and since the record labels are now promoting it, so I thought to myself, why not just make a remix out of it? Hey, what's up guys, I'm LeNERD, and today I'll be remixing Dinero by Trinidad Cardona. So first things first, I have to decide on the vibe of the remix. Usually I will just think about what genre I want to remix, because I don't really want to force myself into a box sticking to a particular genre. So as of the recording of this video, I have been already doing about 20-ish remixes. As you can see, all of them are of a different genre, probably like an overlap of 1 or 2 songs in the trap and future-based kind of genre, which is something that I like a lot. Looking at this song, it looks like it's 120 beats per minute. I think it's technically 60 beats per minute, but it registers as 120 beats per minute because there are some parts of the song that is double time. Like the vibe, it's like kind of like head bobbing, kind of half time. Since this song is either 60 or 120 beats per minute, depending on how you count it. Probably I should do like a house remix, right? Because house is usually between 126 to 128 BPM. I tried to experiment with it, but I don't really feel that house music goes well with it, at least in my own opinion. But then, let's say if I want to explore other genres, right, like trap music, I will definitely have to speed this up quite a lot because it is technically 60 beats per minute. And if I want to do trap music, right, which is like 70 to 80 beats per minute, I will have to increase it by like 10 beats per minute or 20 beats per minute. Damn, this is like a bit too fast, right? But then the more I listened to it, the more I grew into it, and I just felt like, okay, you know what? When the clubs are finally open, I can play this song and it will definitely be like a high energy banger rather than the kind of vibey kind of thing. I think probably you can play the kind of vibey sound in the early hours, but especially in Singapore, right? When you are like in the main set or in the late hours, right? People just want to hear like hard hammering tracks, even in the hip hop room. So I think 75 beats per minute is good, you know. So as you can see, this is how the track looks like. Pretty simple. How I like to group my production is like the first group, which is like vocals. Second group is like drums. Third is effects or FX. And lastly is synths. That's it. Since we have now determined what the genre of the remix is that we are going to go for, now time for the hardest part of producing music, and that's to get started. Right now I'm going to reveal the secret that most producers do not want to tell you, or they are ashamed of telling you: reference tracks. So I'm pretty sure quite a lot of music producers also use this strategy to get started, but a lot of them are like too ashamed or shy to like tell anyone this because they'll be like afraid of the criticism that comes their way from all the purists. You actually use a reference track? You are no longer original at all! What blasphemy is this? This guy is not a real producer? So enough of all that shit. So I've been roughly producing music for about 2 years only, so I don't really have a whole lot of experience when it comes to producing music. So I believe that the quickest way to learn something is through collaboration and listening to other people's track with a critical ear. In order to figure out what reference track to use, you gotta figure out what's the general structure of your track first before you begin searching for your reference track. So I basically split the whole entire track into instrumental and a cappella. By rearranging the a cappella, I came up with this drop. So I try to make it as melodic as I can, even though I'm like making trap. I feel like a lot of times when you're listening to music, the musicians are trying to show you more of their technicality rather than musicality. And I feel that most people only care about like the melody and how it sounds, how pleasant it is to the ear. I don't think they just want explosions of sounds, sound designs and effects like in your face. There are definitely a fan base for that. But personally, I just feel that I'm not like that, and most people are also not like that. Even though I have like quite a lot of like vocal chops here. I got my money open. I still kind of like keep the verse how it's supposed to sound like. So there's like a link back to the original track because this is a remix after all. It's not like an original. You still want to like kind of pay homage to the original track. That's how I personally look at what remixes are. So by having that vocal chop kind of drop, I'm just thinking about what reference track can I use. So I remembered that Dylan Francis actually did a pretty good trap remix of Cardi B's I Like It. And I think I Like It was like 60 7 BPM. Dylan Francis also made it to 75 BPM, you know, and it doesn't sound weird. So I thought, okay, this is a pretty good reference track. So this is how the song sounds like.
Yeah, they call me Cardi B. I run this shit like cardio.
So at this point, I already have the general structure of the track, which means I already know how long the intro I want it to be, how long my verse to build up, how long the drop, and that's about it for now. So I usually work up to the first drop first, and then once I get the first drop already, then I think about what I want to do next. So since we got a reference track now, what we're gonna do with it? Okay, so this is like my little hack. So I will basically match the drum patterns, as you can see here, the drum patterns here. These 2 layers are kicks, and these 2 layers are snares. The reason why I use 2 layers of kicks and 2 layers of snares, right, is that when you create the drop, right, you have many layers in the drop. Usually the drop is the one with the most number of layers. So you just take some of the layers and spread it across to the front and the middle section, and then you get the verse ready, you know. So you don't actually have to do double job. Everything is in the drop ready. So from the reference track, we will just copy the drum pattern. So as you can see here, the drum pattern. And then we just do the same here. So as a producer with integrity, you will be thinking that this is like lifting somebody's track or like plagiarism. When I first started, I didn't actually use reference track because I believe like in being original for my true self, creating music for my soul. I mean, I still do, but it is with a more mature mindset right now. So what I would do is I would like come up with my own drum patterns last time, like and then I'll be thinking like, wow, damn, okay, took me like a few hours to come up with something that I don't typically hear. And then one fine day, I hear a track with the exact same drum pattern that I come up with. So it's almost impossible to be original nowadays. And then I thought about using reference track, possibly like up to 10 reference tracks, so I will not sound similar to any one of them. That thinking was like very time consuming. And in this time and era of creating music, it's about not only quality but also quantity at the same time. So you really have to balance this whole entire art form. So I finally decided to stick to using one reference track. So now we're going to add more layers into the track, and you will eventually see why you will not be able to sound exactly the same as the reference track, because of the countless number of variables that exist in your track that is not present in the reference track. So next up for the drums, we're gonna add the sub and the hi-hat loop. I think Slumberjack describes trap drums perfectly with this sentence.
It's very important to sit down and really work on the loop until the drums itself could sing. If you just solo the drums and you play it, if it makes you dance, then half your work is done. Like,
I'm dancing, dude. I'm dancing.
There's a small little element here that I took from my remix of Arcade, which is this little bouncy sound. It adds more bounce to the subs. So let's hear how the drop sounds like so far.
I whip, 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 whip. I got my money up.
I think this starts out fine, but if it carries on for the rest of the drop, it's gonna be quite boring. So we need a switch up in the middle. So I just thought to myself, what is synonymous to trap music? You know, what is a good switch up for trap music? I think, in my personal opinion, I think that's Jersey Club. So from here on out, my drum pattern is really different from the reference track. So at this point, I'm pretty excited already. So I just thought, okay, you know what? Let's just do the vocal chops to the Jersey Club as well. So right now, I think this is a pretty good skeleton for the start of the remix, where we got the drums and we got the main elements of it. Now to fill up the gaps of the skeleton. So I just simply take the instrumental from the original and do that kind of small little fade in and out, so that you can get this.
I whip, 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 whip. I got my money up.
Next up, the synths. So I think synths are very important in a track because it is like usually the main meat of the track. I guess most tracks, especially EDM tracks, uses synths as their main layer. For us, as you can see, this is like becoming slowly becoming like a vocal chop track, right? But we definitely need some support from the synths, make it sound thicker. And also this bass. This like needle step thing, which is like something that I like a lot. I use in quite a lot of my tracks. So finding the right synth or the right sound is usually the thing that takes the most time in producing music. So oftentimes you'll be scrolling through Splice until you find something that you like. And if you produce a lot, you realize that those hours and hours of scrolling will result in you having like a small pool of sound that you will use for most of your tracks. I guess slowly those become your signature sound. And there are also a group of people that do their own sound design. So they also have their own signature sound from there. So it's usually like a small pool of sound that people use over and over again. Personally, I don't really do much sound design. I probably like modify the sound when I get it. So from all these synths, right, you can use the synths like this to make a build up. So the synth portion is pretty straightforward, syncopating some synths so that it will match nicely with how the drop sounds. So this is what we currently have. So I soon realized that, oh, the Jersey Club is pretty empty because in the trap part, there is still this instrumental. There's like fading in and out, filling that space. So I thought to myself, why not just add like a random tension that's inside the build up. Just gonna add this. And it nicely fills up the space at the top, so it sounds fuller. So from here, I'm just like essentially going back and forth, filling up spaces that I feel that is too empty until I get the drop. So at this point, at the front, I start to realize something. Whip, 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 whip. Sounds like something that I hear before. Like this.
Why me do it?
Whip, whip, watch me, nene. So I thought, I could probably like sample it. I've done this technique on a couple of my remixes, and it all stems from the fact that I used to be a turntablist. I still am a turntablist, but I was like way more active back then. Turntablism is a lot about sampling, a lot about chopping up sounds that are related to each other to create a routine. So I thought, okay, I can add like this.
Why me do it?
And I probably can add something like this. Let's just see how it sounds then.
Why me
So the whole entire thing is like coming together already. Before this, right, I made a Jersey Club remix as well, and I feel that the Jersey Club samples that I use, right, are pretty cliche. So I don't really want to repeat the samples that I used before, like 100%. So I'll just keep those that are necessary, like this Baltimore break. And then I will start finding more Jersey samples to kind of like widen my library and my knowledge on this genre. So I found this pretty iconic sound. It's like this break sound. So I thought, okay, you know what? For this track, I'm gonna use this instead of the bed squeak, which you hear in like a lot of Jersey Club tracks. I think it's good to switch around. Even though you are like I said before, right, you have your signature sound, you're sticking to things that people can recognize you for, but oftentimes you can switch around so that it will not become stale. And it's a fine balance, you know, again, between having a sound and still maintaining fresh. So another small little soundbite that I'm pretty proud of that I managed to find is this. It is a track by Young Ma called Ooh, and there's this like sound that goes pretty well, man, with the verse of this song.
No soy traficante, pero escucho corridos que juega tomando Tecate. Ya dímelo antes. Ya si quieres.
These are like the small things that you can add, right, to like liven up the remix so that it doesn't sound exactly the same as the original, you know, like you bring something new to the table. You have to like let people know that, okay, you are doing a remix, you know it's a remix, it sounds like the original, but damn, you are like adding so much value into it, you know. It's not just like a slow reverb kind of thing. Oh, I make it slow and I add reverb and that's it, I get 5 million views. So I'm basically done for drop 1, you know, I'm pretty happy. And then I thought, okay, you know what? Let's just put drop 1 as drop 2 and we are done with the track. But then I realized that it sounds boring again, you know. Most of the time in festivals, right, when they play a song, they only play one drop and then they are out, you know, they transition to the next song. The reason is because the second drop is the same as the first drop for most tracks. I thought, okay, you know what? Probably just gonna like put in a little bit more effort to make the second drop a bit different. But then I also don't really want to like make it so different that drop 1 and drop 2 sounds like two complete different songs. So I thought, okay, since drop 1 is like trap to Jersey back to trap kind of vibe, maybe I can flip it around, you know, for drop 2. I can do Jersey to trap to Jersey. Basically, for the first drop, right, how I do it is, I listen to this acapella here, right, how it ends. For the people that know the original song, right, they'll be like, okay, after this chorus, there'll be this verse coming. But instead of letting the verse play, I make it a drop. So you are still like trying to like create the relationship to link back to the original. So that's how I come up with the first drop. I whip, whip, whip. So I'm gonna probably do the same thing for the second drop. So from the original song, right, you can hear that the last drop is sounding pretty epic. So there's a lot of whoa, there's like a lot of like looping, there's a lot of like panning, like left, right, left, right, left, right. They give you the different kind of dynamic. So I thought, hey, I probably can do that for like a lead up to my second drop, you know, because it sounds pretty hype on the original already. What happens if you actually add like 15 beats per minute and using this same strategy to do a second drop, right? Wow, it's gonna be damn hype. I kind of like used that as inspiration and created my own panning loop. And definitely we're gonna like match up the instrumentals inside. Because without the instrumental, right, it sounds very empty. If you add an instrumental, you know, so you can fill up more spaces. And because this is Jersey, you don't really want to like keep the instrumental like how it is in the first part, because the first part is trap, it's halftime, it is like more relaxing, more vibing. So you have the instrumental be more like the original. But when it comes to the Jersey club, you want it to be more aggressive, more choppy, following how the vocal is, being very choppy so it can like gel well together. And to add to the epicness, definitely you gotta add some cliche sounds like this. The air raid sirens. From here, we basically got the Jersey drums from the first part already. So we're just like looping it and like adding small variations like. So from here, I just have to figure out how I can like insert the trap part in this Jersey drop without like interrupting the overall flow. It still have to sound high energy, but we are just like taking a pause, like small pause before we go hard again. So this is how it sounds like. So this is it. This is how I produce my remix of Dinero by Trinidad Cardona. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. It will mean a lot to me. If you want more videos like this or more detailed look at how I produce my music, or you have any ideas on what kind of videos that I can do, please leave your ideas in the comment section below. So that's it for today. See you guys on the next video.